this rhetoric, it always interests me, Robbo, because look at Chelsea last year when they won the title. They haven't got a big pedigree in the Champions League history, yet it seems to be brought up genuinely by managers and players alike that because what Real Madrid have done in the past, it affects those players going into these big matches. Does it really?
It must do, because this season I don't think Real Madrid are anywhere near the best two sides in the competition. But when they were up against PSG, they came back from nowhere. They came back against Chelsea, and they came back in this game against Man City. So they must have some sort of belief. The crowd have got belief that they can go on further in the tournament. The players have belief. The manager must have belief, because for long periods they looked dead and buried in this game. So I absolutely agree with Pep Guardiola. There must be something in the makeup and the history of Real Madrid that gives them that confidence going into these games.
Mario, you of course grew up in the Ajax Academy when they were one of the most successful clubs in the world. A great relationship they have with this tournament as well. Is it kind of ingrained in the DNA of a club like Ajax as it is at Real Madrid, where you just expect that's something special?
Yeah, look, when we look at a game, the only downside what we sometimes have is that as a team of Ajax, we always want to win the game very beautiful. And I think that can sometimes play against us. But the Real Madrid, that team now, just the way he prepped them, like if you hear the story of Ancelotti, the way he brought videos into the dressing room, or even if he had it before the game, but at least he showed his team of how they had the resilience of coming back into the game and winning the game. If you show that to your players and it really affects them, and he kept on doing it, and look at it now, they play a game and all the chips were down, nobody expected them to win, and then you see them rise to the occasion in a way that the confidence was so high in the sense of that they had the belief that we can do this. And I think when you have that in your team, it doesn't really matter. Like sometimes you have a captain in a team, right, that has to motivate everybody. But if every individual just believes that they can turn the tie around, come on, then you just keep on going to the last minute. And I think that's what they did. And Man City didn't have that.
You think that your Liverpool team back in the day, Stevie, kind of had that mental strength as well?
Yeah, and I think obviously the Bernabeu has a lot to do with it,
yeah,
as has Anfield. But I can only tell you that at Liverpool, it was about the players that had gone before us. And when you play for a historical club, there are always historical names. And when you come after them, as much as anything else, you're trying to fill their jersey. You're trying to fill their boots. You don't want to be the one that has turned a historical, successful team into a bunch of also-rans. And so there are so many things pushing you forward. But obviously the big one is playing at home.
Yeah, that of course making a big difference, as we've seen, of course, throughout this tournament. Alessandro, you look at it, and from a Manchester City perspective, when Real Madrid start to get that momentum and you start to hear the crowd get on their side, if you're a City player, does that get to your head?
Yeah, I think, the main thing in that game is switch completely when they scored the first goal. In that moment when the Real Madrid draw, something changed. And this has happened often in Madrid, especially, with Real Madrid, but especially at Bernabeu. So when you got hit twice in that way, in the last minute of the game, obviously you are shocked. It doesn't matter how much experience you are. You are shocked. That we saw after in the extra time that they weren't quite able to perform any kind of situation dangerous for scoring a goal. Even on the other way, they concede also the third goal on the penalty. So it's very tough play those 30 minutes, to be honest. I don't blame Man City players or the coach for those 30 minutes. It's very tough. What Man City missed was the first game when they play home. That game should finish 5-2, and that would change completely the return game.
What's interesting when you take a look at the start of the Champions League and you go through the history of it over the last 30 years, it's very rare that the favourites go on to win it. Manchester City, of course, regarded as one of the best teams in the world, still can't get over the line. You think back to your Juventus side, Ali, which, of course, we're in that same conversation, the early 2000s, the talent that was on that pitch, and you as well, I suppose. You looked at it and you thought, well, this should be a team that's dominating Europe. And after you beat Ajax, obviously, those 3 defeats in the final, final against Dortmund, against Real Madrid, and then against Milan. Why is the Champions League different in that sense, where it isn't necessarily the best team in the world that goes to win it?
Yeah, how can I answer this question, to be honest? I mean, we got the chance to win the Champions League when we were, underdog, because we played against Ajax that they just won the year before. And then we approached the other Champions League final with a big advantage. I mean, two of them, we literally give it away, to be honest. But this is the thing when you play one single game that important. In this competition, we are going to see in the final probably the two teams that play definitely the most finals, and they win most of them. They have a high percent of winning. So it's very unpredictable also what's going to happen, When you go in the final, Real Madrid, I remember when I went to Cardiff, I was talking about with some Real Madrid players, Sagado and other players, and said, we're going to win easily because Real Madrid in the final win. Doesn't matter. On the other side, as a fan, as a Juve fan, I would say, well, it's kind of right if I see the numbers, because also on the other side, Juve lost more than the one that they win. So it's tough. It would be exciting, by the way, because I believe that these two teams are absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's going to be a ridiculous final. When you take a look at it, Robbo, overall, is it just history? Is it that simple?
How the outcome of the final takes place, I don't think that's the case this season. I think we've got one magnificent team in Liverpool who have got everything you want from a side in terms of energy. They can play balls in behind, they can play balls into feet, they can defend well, they hold a high line, so there's chances for the opposition maybe to get in behind them, but Alisson sweeps up. And then you've got Real Madrid, who I still don't think are a great side, but they've got great belief. And that's got to be who's going to win out of those two. The team with the great belief or the great team, Liverpool, as they are at the moment.
Mario, that's the thing, isn't it? We've got plenty of time to look ahead to the final. But this belief that Real Madrid have, and of the great teams in the past that have had as well, it's something I imagine that's it's impossible to kind of coach, to put into these players. It's either there or it isn't.
Yeah, but look, as a team, we know Real has that, but Liverpool has a strong belief as well. And what the key thing is for both teams is that I don't expect this to be a game that is going to be about defenders, right? That you're just going to sit back and wait and wait and wait. Those are two teams that want to take control. And the only way to take control is if you have the ball and dominate the play. So that's why, for me, watching that final, it's something that we've been waiting for, because we can have two English sides against each other when we were talking before and thinking two teams, yeah, but that's just a top Premier League game. But now we got a Spanish side and an English team. And, the rivalry is not only club. The rivalry goes beyond that. It sometimes goes to country too. And I love that.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.